Hey everybody, good day. Welcome back to another episode of the Truck Focus podcast. I'm your host, Josh Hannaberry. So in today's episode, I'm really excited to talk with two industry professionals that are having an incredible impact in the way our industry, as well as society, sees professional drivers. So when the pandemic first started, Andrea Morley and Glenn Caldwell, two team members of NAL Insurance, helped launch something called ThankATrucker. So what ThankATrucker was or is a movement to show appreciation to professional drivers. And it started first off by providing PPE, hot meals, and different essential needs that drivers just required at different locations, such as commercial scales. So last year alone, throughout the first course of the pandemic, NAL Insurance and the team with ThankATrucker handed out over 1,500, that's right, 1,500 items, including hot meals, PPE, and different essential just items that professional drivers need. Absolutely incredible. So a couple months ago, the team at NAL Insurance and ThankATrucker, they really stepped up and they started something called Driver of the Month. So it's an initiative program that just honestly has me super excited because I really admire anyone that goes out of their way to show appreciation for professional drivers. And that's exactly what this program is for. So it's a nationwide program that anyone that is classified as a professional driver can be nominated. And that could be for you show up every day and you just do a really good job, or to the heroic stories that you'll hear throughout this interview. So you can definitely check it out just by going to ThankATrucker.co. So www.ThankATrucker.co. I really encourage you to check out the ThankATrucker movement, as well as check out the Driver of the Month program. So today's episode, I really believe it's a really good, it's going to be a great listen for anyone kind of wondering, I know some really good drivers out there, but I don't know how to show my appreciation. Well, this is a really good opportunity. So definitely it's worth listening if that's your mindset, but also if you're a professional driver wondering, do people even care about what I'm doing? Do they even notice? Yes, we do. So there's a lot jam-packed in this episode. I'm super hyped because it's just something that I'm so passionate about. And again, Andrea and Glenn do a really wonderful job just expressing from their point of view, the impact that they're really happy to see this is having on the lives of drivers across the country. So let's get to it. Hey, good day. Super excited for today's conversation. I have Andrea Morley and Glenn Caldwell. I'm super excited about just everything we're going to dive into today. So Andrea, why don't you kind of start us off painting the picture? Who are you? And then Glenn, I'll pass it on to you to kind of do the same.
Sounds good. Thanks, Josh. So my name is Andrea Morley. I am the Communications and Wellness Coordinator at NAL Insurance, as well as their other brand, Healthy Trucker. So I do a lot of education, creating resources around wellness for truck drivers and really anyone in the industry. So I've been in that role now for 7 years. And over those years, I've had a lot of opportunities to talk and work directly with truck drivers, to speak at industry events and kind of teach on a broader scale. And then over the years, I've had the chance to shift more into a communications role, doing things like driver outreach and working with our clients kind of in different ways. So instead of just in the wellness realm, but helping out with some of our other programs and initiatives like the ones we're going to talk about today.
Incredible. Yeah, welcome. I'm really excited to have this conversation. And how about you, Glenn? I've seen some good stuff.
Well, my name is Glenn Caldwell. I'm the VP of Corporate Development at NAL, and we're a provider of WSIB alternative solutions here in Ontario. Josh, in the province of Ontario, owner-operators have the option of opting out of WSIB, and they can buy private coverage. So we insure, I think we're close to about 14,000 owner-operators and about 340 fleets right now. But there's a number of different plans that we offer, for things like buy down, downtime, anything that's trucking specific.
Incredible. Yeah, that is a lot of owner operators. When I think it was Glenn that you first mentioned that, I was like, yeah, just because it's nice to see a community, and I'm really community focused. So yeah, it's a really big number of supports. So obviously they're there for a reason. So it's really exciting. So yeah, again, I just appreciate both of you being here. I know the major point of today's conversation is ThankATrucker and driver appreciation and Driver of the Month. Really, it hits home to me. I'm a former driver myself, and I navigated away from the seat to more of the corporate lifestyle and kind of anything in between. So anytime I see just organizations, but more so the people that don't have to appreciate, because at the end of the day, no one's forcing us to be this vocal to support professional drivers. I jump at the chance to have a conversation and just to highlight just the energy that you're bringing to the industry and just the overall emotional support it provides the drivers. So why don't we kind of touch on the ThankATrucker movement first, because that is massive, and then we can dive into the driver appreciation after that, if that's cool.
Sure. So ThankATrucker started last year when we got hit with this pandemic. We heard that drivers were having a hard time finding hot meals and PPE on the road. So basically, our VP of Marketing, Aaron Lindsay, had an idea of what if we created some hats and T-shirts and things, and then used all that money for proceeds to help feed drivers while they're on the road. So we started off with hats like this hat here, and T-shirts and masks and things like that, and raised a bit of money. But then we found that we were running out quickly. So he then came up with the idea of wrapping a trailer with thanking all essential workers, from fire, police, doctors, nurses, and of course, truck drivers, to help get us through this pandemic. And you know what, without them, especially, you know, when you look at what everybody has done, and we're just so thankful, fleets and allied trades all stepped up and sponsored the trailer, and we raised up a little over $25,000,
wow,
which allowed us to get out to truck stops on a weekly basis, and you know, provide bags of PPE and with a bunch of goodies inside the bag, and you know, sometimes it was hot pizza because that was the safest, right? That wasn't the healthy trucker offer, but it was something that it was a lot easier to serve up pizza than it was some of the other healthier meals. So we did that, and I think, Andrea, was there about 1,500 that we fed?
Yeah, we had about 1,500 drivers that we provided the PPE kits and the meals to over the course of last summer. And then as the cooler weather hit, we weren't necessarily, of course, in Canada, Ontario, able to be outside handing out these hot meals. So then we took a bit of a break. We still knowing that we would be coming back to the ThankATrucker brand, and we were still keeping it in mind, keeping drivers in mind and helping them out where we could. But then as the time went on, the weather got warmer again, and we decided, okay, we need to revive this. What can we do this year that would be a little bit different? Because we didn't necessarily want to provide PPE kits again this year, because everybody has that now. Last year, of course, we had the shortages of masks and hand sanitizers. So it was easy for us to or it was better for us to give that out because drivers weren't able to get that themselves. But then this year, they didn't need that.
Yeah, that's incredible. And the trend, I still remember, well, first learning the word COVID and Corona and pandemic and thinking, so I can't touch anything and I shouldn't breathe in anything. And then thinking about, yeah, that's where my heart went to, is, okay, what about people that have to, such as professional drivers and emergency first responders? And I'm very fortunate. I have a lot of friends, either first responders or nurses, and you're thinking about, okay, so how do they manage their day to day when you have this fear of touching, you have this concern with the media outrage. So it's really powerful. And 1,500 kits in total were handed out in the summer.
Yeah, kits and meals handed out last summer.
Incredible. Yeah, that's, again, bringing back to the first point, when people don't have to, but they see the need, that's really exceptional. So well done. In your side of the nation, so I'm in Calgary, Alberta. So in Ontario, how was, I guess, industry's response to the whole movement?
Yeah, I think at first, you know what, when we first showed up at the truck stop, I think they might have been a little skeptical about what's going on here. And then when we found out that they all, like, we're not there selling, we weren't promoting NAL, we weren't promoting Healthy Trucker. It was just basically thanking them for what they were doing to help keep our essentials delivered on our economy rolling. You know, as I think we all remember the pictures of or walking into a grocery store and having empty shelves. So the public quickly realized how important trucking actually was to helping them maintain their lifestyles, right?
Yeah, and then to add to that, I think what really showed us that the perception of the ThankATrucker program was really positive was when we did implement the ThankATrucker trailer and the essential worker trailer, and then offered that up for sponsorship. And when we saw the offers for sponsorship flooding in, that's when we knew, okay, there are so many trucking companies and the allied trades that are wanting to support this and wanting to help us get these meals and PPE kits into these drivers' hands. So that really, really showed us how much support there was for these drivers. And then we even had a lot of members of the public, of course, purchasing our products online, wanting to support, or just asking like, how can we support? Because we have nothing to do with the trucking industry, but we want to be able to help these truckers out because we know how important they are to our economy and our lives.
So powerful. My 11-year-old, as I mentioned off camera, is a trucking junkie, and a lot of our family is in transportation, so it's in his blood. But he'll always say, if you got it, a truck brought it. And when you mention the pictures of empty shelves and thinking, okay, I work hard to provide for my family, but yet you go to a store and there's nothing to buy. Like, it's a really obviously uncomfortable thought. So again, shout out to professional drivers, anyone really in logistics, from like point of entry in Canada all the way to the shelf. It's just incredible to think, okay, how much we actually do rely on when you're hypersensitive to it. And yeah, I just think it's an incredible program. So it's awesome that other vendors were involved that didn't have to be. And yeah, I still appreciate the general public just, again, basically raising their hand and saying, yeah, pick me, how can I help? Which again, it's just super powerful. So again, hats off to you guys for really leading that, especially in Eastern Canada where population is massive and you're concerned about your own families. But yeah, all in all, that's really incredible.
Well, it was nice. It was the fleets and allied trades that allowed us to do this. And the fleets that sponsored had an opportunity to take the trailer for a week, and they would go around, and a lot of the times they'd have like an open house, or you couldn't have too many people last summer around your place, so that there wasn't as many barbecues as we had actually hoped. But this year, we've had more companies pick up the trailer and take it to police stations, take it to hospitals, getting pictures done, and they were thrilled to see that they were supported the way they were.
Incredible. Yeah, I think it gives some pride in our industry too. There's a lot of sometimes unpopular opinions of transportation, especially for professional drivers. But yeah, when you can see the opposite of they're high value civilians, they do incredible work every single day. They're obviously just like us, we're all human. But yeah, it's nice to see just constant support. It's also nice to see, like you just said, this year there's more. So I know we're going to dive into driver of the month, but going in, well, I think we're close to 18 months into the pandemic, knowing that there's still ongoing effort, above and beyond effort, to show our appreciation. I think that's super rewarding. So Andrea, why don't you kind of walk us through like the Driver a Month initiative? How did it start? And then, yeah, let's really dive into that part of the program too.
Yeah, definitely. So I almost gave this away before, but as I talked about, this spring, we were trying to decide how we would continue the ThankATrucker movement without necessarily handing out the PPE kits. Because again, drivers have more access to meals and PPE this year than they did last year. So we wanted to do something a little bit differently. And given that we are still using the trailer and getting in sponsorship money from that, we knew that we had money to give back to these drivers, as well as NAL Insurance inputting some of their own money. And that has allowed us to create the Drivers of the Month program. And what we are doing is opening up nominations on our website, ThankATrucker.co, and absolutely anybody from the public or at trucking companies in allied trades, absolutely anyone can nominate a truck driver that they think is worthy of being recognized as one of our Drivers of the Month. So we have had many different nominations come in with all different types of stories. Maybe the driver has just been with a company for many, many years, many accident-free miles, and they're just one of those dedicated, pure-hearted individuals, and their company wants them to be recognized for that. Or other drivers have kind of a crazier story where they were in maybe a very scary situation and they kind of came out of that as a hero and saved lives, things like that. So being able to recognize those drivers on social media and provide them with the acknowledgement that they deserve is kind of what the Drivers of the Month program is about. Along with that, we also provide them then with kind of more of a reward, a tangible reward, and we allow them to choose a gift valued at up to $250 from any Canadian online retailer. Wow. So when I talk to them and let them know that they won, congratulate them, I say, okay, now you can go shopping. Go online to any of your favorite Canadian online retailers, whether it's power tools or electronics, whatever you want. Pick something that comes to a maximum of $250, send the link to me and we will purchase it for you. And that's what we've had a lot of drivers do. Other ones have opted for a $250 Visa gift card. That's great as well, so that they don't have the pressure of having to choose something. But for the most part, these drivers have been so excited to be able to kind of gift themselves something that they wouldn't have normally bought, just for doing their job. And that's what it is to them. These drivers are so humble and they don't realize how deserving they are, but they become teary-eyed over the phone, and I can hear it in their voices at least. And they just get so excited to feel special just for, again, doing their job. And that's really what we're wanting to do, is just make these drivers realize how appreciated they are, not only by the trucking industry, but also by the public, because the public and truck driver relationship isn't always the best, but that's something that we are striving to improve.
Yeah, really trying to improve the public's perception. And you know what, we didn't start ThankATrucker. That initiative has been around forever, or for a while, started by the different associations. And really to hear some of the comments that you hear from truck drivers now, or professional drivers, is they're really starting to feel definitely more appreciated. When they went through some of the issues with suppliers where they couldn't stay in their, they had to stay in their truck for 4 or 5 hours, couldn't get out to go to the washroom that was challenging for them. So I think a lot of that is cleared up by now, but you know, as we go through these different waves, you know, they're out there risking it every day for us, right? And without them, we as your son says, we'd have nothing.
Yeah, and left me speechless. I was really motivated. Wow, I had to like re-catch myself there. So I think I interact with a lot of professional drivers, and that's one of the number one things that I hear is, I don't feel appreciated. I don't feel heard. I'm identified as a meat in the seat. And yeah, when you hear of drivers being at a receiver and told, no, you can't come in, sit in your truck and wait, and I don't know how long it will be. Yeah, that's one part of it. But we also in Canada have something called winter, where, again, doesn't matter what part of the country you're in, we're all experiencing some form of, oh my goodness gracious, how am I going to make it? Out here in Western Canada, you have the mountains and you have lots of traffic. So there's always stuff going on. And adding the pandemic to already a stressful career is pretty intense. So again, hats off to you as an organization, as people, and as leaders, to really creating that initiative, especially in your area. But I know well, correct me if I'm wrong, Andrea, but it is across Canada, the Driver of the Month program, right?
Yeah, that's correct.
Okay, awesome. Because I don't normally swear, but it comes to mind, it's about damn time. And the fact that, yeah, you have money helps. Public recognition is always super important, and the money helps. And knowing that, hey, this was really unexpected. Thank you so much. To the emotions, to obviously someone taking the time to nominate them, all of it. It's just super powerful. So when we're talking nominations, is there a certain requirement that they have to meet as a driver? Is there, like you mentioned a couple of examples, but is that kind of the number one thing, is they have to be either operating safely or they've done something heroic? Or is it you're a class 1 or a class A driver, and because of your profession, I can nominate you? What's the boundaries?
So we haven't made it very strict. We have kept it fairly open, just so that anybody can pour in whatever stories they have. And then we go through the nominations. Sometimes we ask for more information based on the situation. Other times we may have already heard kind of in the news about a specific driver. We talk to the driver, we talk to the trucking company, or we talk to the person who nominated them, get all the information that we need, and then kind of go from there based on the number of nominations that we're receiving, and then space them out and select the winners from there.
Incredible. What's the frequency that I guess our industry can now start expecting that drivers are going to be? Is it once a month, once a week, or how is that planned?
So right now we are selecting drivers once a week. Nice. I don't know if that's exactly what we're going to continue throughout the rest of the year. We do plan on keeping the Drivers of the Month program rolling at least until the end of 2021 at this time. But again, right now we're choosing drivers weekly. That may shift a little bit. It's depending on the number of nominations that we are getting, and we are getting more nominations than one a week, absolutely. But it depends. It depends on, say, sponsorship money as well. That might allow us to kind of shift gears and maybe increase the amounts that drivers are able to get gifts for, or the number of drivers that we're able to recognize.
Oh, sorry, Glenn, I thought you were going to say something.
I was waiting. So yeah, no, it's perfect. The kind of the idea by the end of the year is we might even come up with a Driver of the Year award, where we take all the winners kind of and post them on social media, create either a website or on Facebook, or where they can have a voting. You know, people can vote for their Driver of the Year, and then that winner would receive a larger prize. And I think our goal for next year, if we can continue to do this, is to talk to suppliers to be able to sponsor either a week or a month, where they kick in and they get their logo on it, and the donation comes from them, which we hope that will be the case. Because you know what, we don't want this to be short-lived. We want this to be an ongoing thing for sure.
Mm-hmm. And whatever it does look like next year, we're always like evolving and evaluating kind of where we're at and where we would like to go. So next year, there will absolutely be something under the ThankATrucker initiative. We just don't always know what it's going to look like, but hopefully it will be similar to what we're doing now. If not, it'll be bigger and better.
That's powerful. And you've already seen the progression when you identified.
Exactly.
Yeah, I think that's super cool. And I could definitely I speak with suppliers as often as I can. And anytime you kind of mention the opportunity to really highlight others, you see a smile, you see people get drawn into that part of the conversation. So again, if there's any way I can help, if it's being a sponsor or just being a vocal supporter, either or both, count me in, because this part runs through my blood. Like, I get super excited anytime we get to celebrate people. So I think it's an incredible initiative.
We really appreciate any support that we can get on this, especially just the support on social media, because we are posting the driver spotlights every week. And the more that people can like and comment and share those posts, the more that those drivers are going to be recognized by the public. And again, we want the public to be seeing these drivers and seeing the good work that they're doing. And we recently talked about how it's so important for the public's perception of truck drivers to change and to improve, because that does a lot of things, but two main things that it can do. We're going to see that maybe the public drivers on the road, not professional truck drivers, are maybe a little bit more understanding to those truck drivers and have a little bit less road rage towards them. That could potentially make our roads a little bit safer. It could also improve the public's perception of the trucking industry as a whole and draw more people into working in the industry.
That's a really good point. I like the recruitment side too, because I think, not too many people actually understand what is transportation when you break it down, based off of class of weight. And each province has a little variation, basically Manitoba East. Anyway, we don't have to go down that whole side of the conversation. But there's a lot of opportunity in transportation. And then there's a lot of room for general public to just become more knowledged. And I still shake my head when I'm driving and there's a passenger beside me that's not industry focused, and they don't get why it takes so long for a big rig to get from stop to speed. And anyway, I could go down that path for a long time, but I won't.
Yeah. And unfortunately, what we do typically see in the media when it comes to the trucking industry is the negative things, the accidents that truck drivers are involved in, not necessarily causing, but just that they're involved in, and those kinds of things, right? Or the perception of truck drivers' health. That's obviously something that I'm very passionate about, is changing that and showing that there are many truck drivers who are not only improving their health, but maintaining their health while they're on the road. And these are real men and women who are passionate about their jobs, are passionate about their families, and they are good-hearted people.
Absolutely. Yeah, I completely agree. Sorry, I thought I heard Glenn. I didn't want to interrupt them. Sorry.
I have to put up my hand.
Yeah, I do that too.
I don't know. One thing I wanted to talk about when we did ThankATrucker last year, we went from, carefully giving them the pizzas and the PPE to then all of a sudden approaching them at the trucks. And I still remember one of the drivers from Quebec, and we're filling up, and I walked over and I handed him a hat. We had purchased a number of hats from the CTA with the same type of, it was said hashtag ThankATrucker on it. And he was a little bit wondering what I was doing. And I just said, hey, listen, I wanted to thank you for doing everything you're doing to help keep our essentials delivered on economy rolling. We really appreciate it. And he actually started to cry. And it was just, I'm getting goosebumps just thinking about it now. And just, I said, come on over and grab a slice of pizza. And he just was like, you know what? We get treated like crap. This is so nice for us to be doing this. And I'm not saying that's because, hey, we want you to say, hey, good for you for doing this. I'm just saying that they do appreciate even the smallest things when it comes down to understanding what they go through.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was there that day, Glenn, and I think I saw a tear in your eye as well. That was a pretty special moment.
Yeah, for sure.
And that was earned. And I talk about living your legacy every day all the time, because I think some people go through life pretty unintentional and they just kind of go through the motions. But being in your position, Glenn, where that changed that human being probably for the rest of their life, probably changed the directory of their life. And I call that a pivotal moment where to you, it's, I want to do good. I want to help. I want to say thank you. But for that person, the fact that you touched them in the heart, and the fact that guaranteed they told a friend, they told a family member, they probably told the receiver they were going to, you'll never guess what I just experienced. Like that changed that person's life. And that's the power of, again, essentially it's going above and beyond, and it's identifying the need. But yeah, hats off. Like, I think it's absolutely incredible. And it's, to those listening, it's the encouragement that you can also do that. And it doesn't have to be at a scale. It could literally be at a Costco where you see a truck about to back in, don't cut behind them. Just give them the 5 seconds they need to maneuver. But yeah, that type of attitude is absolutely what changes the perspective from quote unquote outsiders, the passenger vehicles and the people that aren't involved in transportation, because it's this, wow, you did that and it did that much for that person. Like, I think it's super powerful. So well done.
When you drove, and I'm sure you're heading down the highway and you see a young kid say, give me one of these, right? Like that. I saw a TikTok there last week, and it showed how we want everybody to do this. We love it when you do this because it makes us feel like we're out here for a reason. Yeah.
And I think it brings a little pride back into the seat, because I think there's enough people out there kicking rocks. Why am I doing this for a profession? And like, most of my hauling was more in the equipment world, not general freight world. And yeah, a lot of times I was in the way until that one person was just like genuinely thankful for it. And you're kind of like, man, you just made my month. Like, that was awesome. Thanks. But yeah, there's a lot more of you're in the way than there is the gratitude. But again, as leaders, as industry leaders that I'd say us three are, it's nice that we can have that impact on people, knowing, okay, 20 years from now, they're still going to remember that. And that's pretty cool in my opinion. So I guess, again, good job. I could talk about that forever though. So can we, I don't know, well, I'm assuming so because it's already public, but can you name drop a couple of the drivers that have been nominated so far and the carriers they work for?
Yeah, definitely. So we had a driver named Josh a couple weeks ago from Wellington Motor Freight here in Ontario. So we were able to recognize him. He was, oh my gosh, so excited. So his fleet, Wellington Motor Freight, they reached out to him. He was driving at the time, hands-free, of course, and he actually had to pull over and kind of collect himself because he was getting teared up and just so excited about the opportunity and finding out that he was being recognized. We had a driver named Yuri Urkov from Preferred Transport as well. Another driver was Steve Speller. That's actually this week's driver from Joseph College. And then we also have one of my favorite stories was John DeGroot from Kim Tam Logistics, and very, very excited to be able to nominate him because he is one of those really special stories of a driver who was in a pretty scary or dangerous situation and he came out a hero from it. So he was actually nominated by a member of the public. So he was driving in Windsor, Ontario, just I believe it was May 30th or around there. So he was driving down one of the busy main roads in Windsor, and he noticed that a toddler had walked out onto this very busy street. And immediately, and I mean, John is, if you look at his LinkedIn page, he's incredibly dedicated to driver safety. And that really shone through in that moment because he very quickly made the decision to stop his truck, and not only just stop the truck, but actually use his truck to block all lanes of traffic, get out of his truck. And that allowed the mother of the child to get over to the child and get her off of the road. The mother was, of course, very, very startled after this experience. It was horrifying. He stayed with her, made sure that she was calm, and assured her that everything was okay. Unfortunately, these things do happen. She was actually fastening her infant into the car seat while her toddler was able to get away. And I talked to the mother after this terrible, terrible story, but it did turn out okay. But I talked to the mother about this nomination, and she shared with us that her daughter actually saw a butterfly run onto the road and didn't want the butterfly to get hit. So in that happening, the toddler, of course, ran onto the road to save the butterfly, and then she almost herself could have gotten badly hurt. So, of course, very scary situation, but John DeGroot was in the right place at the right time and was an absolute hero that day. The mother of the child is so incredibly grateful to him. And I think all of us are, because that is a pretty incredible story and very timely during the pandemic, during the Drivers of the Month program. And we were just so happy to be able to recognize drivers like him himself, and other drivers like him.
Wow. The reaction time, the peace that he could provide. Yeah. Wow. I have a little guy, he's 2.5, and yesterday he climbed into his car seat by himself for the first time. And I'm just picturing him, like, same mindset, like save whatever he's going for. And wow, could not imagine that. Like,
heart stopping.
Yes. Yeah. So well done, John. That's
and it can happen so quickly, right?
Yeah.
And I think one of the other stories, Yuri, from Preferred was in Michigan, and he was in a flood. The highway flooded out, and it was filling up quite high. He ended up having to jump out of his truck and swim across a couple lanes. He got to a service center, and I can't remember if debit wasn't working or something. He didn't have cash.
There was no hydro.
And he was trying to get a coffee, and they wouldn't give him a coffee because he didn't have.
Of course, being a Canadian, he didn't have any American cash on him, and then his debit and credit cards would not work. So then all he wanted was a coffee, maybe something to eat, and they wouldn't give that to him, unfortunately. So he went back to his truck and had to wait there for, I think, 12 hours or something until another Preferred truck was able to come and help him out.
And it doesn't have to be an emotional story like this to win
the
Driver of the Month. It can just be something that we're You know, the driver's always on time. He hasn't had an accident. He or she hasn't had an accident. It could be anything. And we'd love to hear from the public more, just like some of these other stories, because it's not just, or the supplier to say, you know what, this driver's courteous. They're always on time. They're, you know, they've never ever caused an issue. Little things like that are big things for us.
Yeah, definitely. I think it's a good point to make, that it doesn't have to be the emotional stories, because if you do look on our social media at the posts that we're making every week, we're sharing the stories and why they were nominated. And a lot of the time it is just because their employer truly respects and appreciates them for being that outstanding type of driver.
That's incredible. And I think that's the biggest highlight, is because the sad and the life-saving stories are, yeah, they make you stop. They literally are like, okay, I got to process that. But it's the day in and day out, hey, I'm here. I am I love the word professional. And I think when you earn professional driver, like that is an earned title. It's just like, yeah, wear it like a badge of honor. And I show up early. I do thorough pre-trip inspections. My cargo is tight. And it's nice that is also recognized, that level of performance, because I think some people take it for granted that Sue or Steve or whoever shows up, oh, you're always 15 minutes early, and I've never had an incident with you. That becomes an expectation, but you kind of take it for granted. So now that there's an opportunity to really, hey, I recognize you, thank you so much. Like, I think that's really, really cool. Really well done.
Yeah, that's a really, really good point, because we don't always recognize those types of drivers nearly enough, even though it has been maybe years of sacrifice, and you never know what they have actually had to sacrifice in order to have that perfect work record. But a lot of the times there's a lot to it, and that's a hard commitment to make, to be that dedicated to your job for that long.
A lot of missed baseball games, a lot of missed school plays.
Yes.
Family events that they do just so we can get her stuff, right? That's it.
Yep. No, I agree. And again, hats off just to recognizing that, and to not, because when we first started talking, Andrea, that was one of my first thoughts was, okay, is this for the heroics, or is this for the everyday hero that just, I show up and I do a good job, and what do you know, I'm 25 years in. And yeah, I think it's super rewarding. So again, really well done.
Yeah, exactly. Like, this is for like the heroics and the everyday driver. It's for all of them, because we really do want to be recognizing all truck drivers. It's just that we're able to put a spotlight on a select few at this time, but the messaging is the same, and the message goes out to all professional truck drivers that are behind the wheel several days a week, away from their families, doing those hard things on the road that are really, really challenging. Like you said, in Canada, especially when we have not so great weather for many months of the year, it's a tough gig. And we just want to thank as many drivers as we possibly can.
Incredible. I'm just, normally I nod to the point where I slide down my seat, and you've left me speechless a few times. So this is awesome. So as you both, as professionals in this space, just continue to navigate your own journeys, do you think about, and if you do, and you're comfortable answering, please do, but what do you want your legacies to be? What do you want to be remembered for when you kind of hang up your keys, per se? And either or can start. No pressure, Glenn.
Andrea, ladies first.
Well, you know what? Most of my work over the last 7 years has really been about driver health, but and that's physical health. But in the last couple of years, we've really been able to shift more into mental health as well. And I think it's really just all encompassing driver health and wellness. And for me, that's, I guess, what I would want to be remembered for, is being able to improve these drivers' health and their happiness. And I think a lot of what we're doing with these initiatives, because of NAL Insurance, they're who is making this possible. It's not just me, it's our entire team that we have behind us. Because of that, we are able to improve their health and their happiness through the initiatives that we have created, because NAL Insurance really is so much more than just insurance. We are constantly innovating and creating new products and programs in order to recognize drivers and provide them with what we feel they deserve on the road, which is so much more than what they currently get. But I think health and wellness programs, drivers of the month programs, the more that we can do that just to improve these drivers' health and happiness, the better.
Totally. Totally.
And I'm just excited to be able to be a part of that.
That's good. They're saying hi.
Well, the UPS guy is here. So
okay.
With our daily Amazon package.
It's okay. It's a little bit of comedic relief.
That's right. You just cut the ice halfway through. Thanks.
There you go. So it's tough to think of legacy. When you think of legacy, you're thinking about family. But if I think about legacy, when I think about business, I think, we truly go out to try to help truck drivers be successful. And to do that, they have to have proper coverage. Without proper coverage, they could be definitely out of the business. So I know that over the year, I've been in the business 30 years, and I've helped thousands of owner-operators and hundreds of companies get the right coverage in place. And, even the process of talking to them about their health. And we've had different charity events that we've done through Trucking for Wishes, where we raise money on behalf of Make-A-Wish, on behalf of the trucking industry. And just all the value addeds that we try to provide. We're not just about insurance, as Andrea said. We're doing a lot more than just selling them coverage. So I hope that that companies will see that we're in this. We've been in it for the long haul. We're not in and out. We've been here for a long time, and we hope to continue to be able to do that for them.
Incredible. Yeah, both of your stories that I've seen more so online has always been inspiring. You're very consistent of raising the bar in a positive way, which I really appreciate. Especially just trying to be an industry advocate myself. It's nice that there's like-minded professionals, and I'm not in it 30 years yet, but I know I will be one day. And it's just, again, it's nice to see. And I'm honored that both of you were able to come onto the podcast today. So just kind of as we come to a close, were there any final thoughts that you either would like to share, as well as can you just reiterate how people can nominate the driver of the month?
Yeah, definitely. So if you just go to our website, www.ThankATrucker.co, that will lead you straight to our nomination page. You might just scroll down a tiny bit and you'll see the nomination form right there. Really simple process. Put in your information, the person nominating, then put in the driver's information so that we can reach out to them, and then just share the story. And that can be as long as you want, and provide us as much detail as you can on why you believe that they deserve to be recognized. But again, it's easy, just ThankATrucker.co. The nomination form is right there.
That's awesome.
Bottom line, we got to continue to remember that if you've got it, a professional truck driver brought it. And it's a saying that we continue to use each and every day, but we do want to thank all drivers and staff and everybody that's involved in the trucking industry, because without the work that they're doing and going through what we did through this pandemic, especially, they kept the economy rolling, right? Without it, we would have had a lot more challenges. So thank you.
1,000%.
Josh, thank you for what you continue to do for the industry with your podcasts. They're always inspiring, and looking forward to seeing a lot more of you over the years.
I appreciate that. Yeah, Glenn and Andrea, honestly, today it was a highlight for sure. Again, I've been a fan from afar, but just, I guess more of a personal conversation now, and things that I think we can all equally say, yes, we appreciate, yes, we're working hard toward it. It's just, it was an honor, and just appreciate your time. And just, again, the impact is going to be just continuously great for our industry. So thank you so much for joining today. It means a lot.
Thank you for having us. We really appreciate it.
Awesome. Well, what an episode. Honestly, Andrea and Glenn, thank you so much for your time today. But more so, thank you so much for just all of the effort that you're putting in to really having a pivotal impact in so many professional drivers' lives. So the ThankATrucker movement, to the driver of the month, to just the healthy trucker, to every way that NAL Insurance and you as professionals are having an impact in the lives of so many drivers. Thank you so much. So everyone listening, again, I really recommend that you go to www.ThankATrucker.co and check out the ThankATrucker movement, as well as a Driver of the Month appreciation and just the entire program. And if you know of a driver that just does a great job every day, they have a great attitude, they're just here, consistent, and they're safe, they're doing all the right stuff, or if you know of some heroic stories that I know a lot of us do, I highly recommend that you nominate a driver. It is a nationwide program with a reward up to $250. Pretty powerful. I just like the public recognition for professional drivers. And yeah, all in all, it was a really great episode. So again, Glenn and Andrea, thank you so much. So everyone that just continues to support the Truck Focus podcast, I just wanted to say thank you. I know Avery wasn't in on this episode, but just the support, the encouragement that Avery and I, my 11-year-old son, just continue to receive is really powerful. And we're really starting to feel that this podcast is making a difference in the lives of others in the industry by connecting industry leaders like Andrea, like Glenn, to say, hey, at the end of the day, we're all people, but we're deciding to take some pretty cool actions, some big steps to make a change. And again, I just really appreciate all of the support. Recently, we have launched the Truck Focus newsletter. So if you haven't subscribed to that, I highly recommend that you do. I make sure to include all of the links, of course, into the show notes. And again, just thank you so much for checking into the podcast today. It means the world. And again, Andrea and Glenn, thank you so much for everything that you and the team at NAL Insurance and ThankATrucker are doing. It's just phenomenal. So have a really safe day, and let's create a pivotal impact.